second session here, and that's talking about Derek Zammit, a 6'1", 190-pound quarterback from DePaul Catholic in Wayne, New Jersey. We really are going all over the map for this class, but no complaints for expanding the footprint and bringing in a player like Derek Zammit. I know you and I are both fans of his game, but take it away on your thoughts on what you saw from Derek's tape.
Yeah, and it's gonna get like tougher and tougher to really I'd say maybe like quarterbacks. I had no idea of this high school or anything like that or nothing, but when I saw Buddy's junior film, the arm angles go crazy, the moxie's crazy. You could definitely feel some of that East Coast Jersey swag in his game for sure. Um, Getting in the frame, I got 6'1", 195. Obviously, there's way. I got that as a three. There's bigger, stronger, faster quarterbacks that have stronger arm, etc. So not pushing any generational measures there, but way more than big enough. And to be honest, this is one of the biggest quarterbacks that Jeff Fish has recruited. So I will take it. And then moving into physicality, I gave that a 4 actually. I feel like he runs physically, and not only like does he run physically, that kind of moxie has him play physical. Tries to run through dudes. Just kind of has that, like you can see he's that kind of blood and guts played through injuries, all that kind of stuff. So definitely added that into some of his analysis there too. And then flair, those are kind of like random generational traits once again, and like seeing some of these arm angles and some of the zip he gets on the arm angles is really like a la those like Stafford throws and things like that. So if those types of throws can mature, holy hell, what I mean? With Jeff Fish's system and things like that, a lot of the mesh and a lot of finding these zone holes, his arm angles are going to be elite. These big ass linemen that he's got.
Yeah,
and then moving into football instincts and they got both of those at 4. And his junior year, it seemed like he had a decent amount of weapons to kind of work at running back, offensive line, receiver, and then senior year kind of took a step back when it came to overall talent. Also seems to have gotten hurt as well, but really kept on his back for what he could do. So I gave him 4 in those regards, in regards to the football IQ instincts, because that moxie and carrying team and footwork and flexibility, his running ability. I do think that is a significant advantage. That's a big tip in a running style quarterback that can get 250 to 450 rushing a season. So as well,
yep.
Averaging out.
Yeah, I agree
for 3.8.
Yeah, I certainly really liked Derek. I really liked Derek's film. I certainly, does he have the explosive speed that Damon does? No, but can he pick up 15 yards and and pick up a first down several times when you need him to? Absolutely. I frame pretty kind of, I would say, certainly nice to see us to get a little taller in the quarterback room. To your point, keep his frame a 3. Physicality was a 4, again, with throwing from different arm angles, being able to throw in motion and on the run and without a set base. Flair, again, kind of with his ability to make plays with his feet and his arm, and just keep the chains moving, keep an offense moving down the field. I gave him a 4 there. Gave the football IQ and instincts a 4, and the feet and flexibility a 3, but probably could upgrade that a little bit. Like, I certainly kind of want to see with some time in the system, what the footwork looks like in the pocket going forward, to really maximize his arm talent. But certainly there are going to be, we know this offense, he's going to throw off platform and on the move, moving with bootlegs out of the pocket quite a bit. But that's kind of going to be the areas of development. And I'll say what I said in a couple of chats in the midst of the whole Damon Williams saga. If the outcome of that had gone differently, I would have been. We're not going to. I wouldn't say with anybody left in the room, if DeMond had left, would we be a conference championship contender? Probably not. But I would have had no qualms with, like, if that's the situation, if that was the hand we were dealt, give the keys to Derek and let's go.
Yeah, I think we both agree that
that he showed in his senior year, with when the overall talent that he was surrounded with took a step back, and yet he still led his team into the playoffs, and I think they still won a state title his senior season, and that shows a lot about him as a leader and as a quarterback.
I really like that moxie and that dog, man. Like that's something you really want to see from a quarterback. That's a guy that's going to break his ribs, all that kind of stuff, and then still flex in the opponent's face. So,
yep. All right. Moving on to a guy that'll do some blocking and some catching for him, and that is Kekua Rhino Amua, tight end, 6'5", 225 out of Kahuku, Hawaii. But spent some time, I believe, his last year, I think, was it he at IMG, or we see somewhere in Florida, I believe.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, not a ton of tape, so kind of a limited sample size. So I'll go real quickly on this one. Certainly at a 6'5", 255, that's a frame 4. You see taller tight ends, but that's certainly not undersized, and that's trending more towards uncommon size, and particularly uncommon kind of physicality as a blocking tight end, where I gave him a 4 as well. Flair was a 3.5, again, kind of leaning more in. Not that he's a bad receiver. But this guy he's a punisher in the blocking game. He's gonna I'll say it right now. Quentin Moore, heir apparent in that respect.
Yes.
Hopefully in terms of his pass pro, but like Kekua Rhino in the running game is gonna be I might be like, okay, I don't care who's got the ball. Who's Rhino gonna decleat?
Run off him.
Follow that guy. Oh, pancakes from the tight end. Football IQ and instincts again in there, a 4, and then feet and flexibility. I saw certainly enough movement skills for the type of tight end that he's going to be to give him a 4 there. So overall for me, a 19.5 for an average of 3.9 for Rhino. But your thoughts on Mr. Omua?
Man, oh man, one of the more intriguing kind of prospects in the class. Usually don't find tight ends like this kind of physically filled out. They're more like our other tight end in our class. But yeah, from what I did see, this is another one of those guys who's the 6th offensive lineman. But also too, like, don't get it confused. I mean, I think one of the main things that I was impressed by was his movement skills. So being able to, run the route tree or get open and make people miss after the catch, like, and get a red zone guy, is definitely a possibility. I might see a pass catching kind of potential there. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's there. So frame, I gave a 4. I think the physical size is a 5, but there's guys that have that size that move freely, so I kind of didn't give them the 4 for physicality, big, strong. 3 for a flair. When you're a run blocking tight end, that's not the sexiest thing. Could be a 2 there, but not the sexiest thing. All instincts, didn't really see that on tape I watched. So it was more so just kind of size, executing the play or whatnot. I'd love to see how he's actually tight end. If Florida's interested in you and all those other schools, I think it's 20 plus offers are interested in you. As a tight end, you're damn good. Feet and flexibility. Now, I gave that kind of like a little bit of an overrate in my opinion, but I gave that a 4. And the reason being is because I do see like the potential in that size. Whether I think it's right now it's a 3, but 4 just because I do see some type of pass catching future there. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely it's a pass catching future, and I think the other thing that I think you could see a fair bit with Rhinos, I would not be surprised to see him used in some H-back situations. Kind of sometimes in line, sometimes lined up in the backfield playing fullback, some H-back. But a really intriguing piece, and they can kind of with some of the across the board, they can kind of Swiss Army knife some things, and just to put in
Mm-hmm.
different personnel
Mm-hmm.
groupings to do some different things, and definitely a guy that can contribute to that, and can be a contributor in a number of different areas. Moving on to somebody that I will say did not get a 5. Nobody in the offensive class got a 5 for me in frame. This gentleman is close. uh,
Oh.
so we're going to talk about Dominic Harris, 6'7.5", 335-pound offensive tackle out of Clark High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. So real quick, I'll just do my rankings, if you don't mind. So 4.5 for frame, 4 for
Yeah.
physicality. This is a large human.
Agreed.
This is a large human, and this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, where like the one thing where he differs from his offensive tackle colleague in this class, the length of the arm length, and this is the kind of guy that it might take a train and a couple of buses to get around to get to the quarterback. With some development of the physique. A lot to like here about Dominic Harris. I certainly like the physicality. He's not afraid to just be like, I'm more physical than you, and I'm going to show it. Like, and that was something that was really encouraging for on offense for a lineman as tall as he is. Again, flair for lineman, it's that hand punch. It's it's either movement skills. It's seeing something that really pops there. I gave him a 4 there. 3.5 for football IQ and instincts. I think he's certainly more raw, not quite as polished yet as Cody is comparatively. And then feet and flexibility 4. I did see certainly some movement skills for Dominic Harris, and certainly this is the kind of projectable athlete with some of the traits that you really look for in maybe a guy that isn't going to be a day one starter in an ideal sense, but a couple of years in a college weight room with his height and length, a very, very strong potential contributor for you on the offensive line, and particularly outside on the offensive line. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't run away from 6'7.5", 340 plus. I got to get out of 5, man. Even if he
I'm just more of a hard ass than you.
Yeah, I'm real time editing with these too, man, because you accused me, and I was like, you know what, I was doing that a bit. But 6'7", 30 plus, I'm getting a 5 frame. Also too, whether you play right tackle or you move inside, you have the perfect frame for those two positions. So either guard position or that right tackle. So relative to your the position affecting to, I think you have the perfect size for it, if not bigger for that. Reminds me of one of those Iowa guys. Physicality, I have a 4. One thing that you did mention was punch. I feel like he is a little bit of a weight bender, so he kind of like uses a lot of his weight and leans on people a lot. Would love to see him kind of use that length a little bit more, and also kind of have a little bit stronger of a punch. So I will give that for a size. I give that a 4. Flair, I do think you got to give some credit to the size here, so I gave that a 3. A big boy moving the way he moves is ridiculous. And then gave football instincts. Actually a 4. I do think for what he projects to, I do think that having a little bit slower feet, not necessarily being super fast. Somebody athletic like Cody Green, I don't think is necessary at his position. Obviously, he's solid feet, but I'm not necessarily at his position. So I gave the football instincts a 4. But where that kind of pairs into is 2. I gave footwork and flexibility. Right now, I would say you're a mauler, you're a run grader, and we'll have to work on those pass sets and pass protection. So, and that's the footwork, a lot of the footwork that goes involved with dealing with a lot of these athletes. And so, easier to go forward than it is to go backwards. So, I give that for a total score of 18 and a 3.6.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the other running back in the class, and that is Anzu Sano out of Lake Oswego down in Oregon, a 6'1", 210-pound 3-star running back. out of Oregon. Again, this class is playing to type. They like a speed back, and they like a big back. Dare we even say Scotty Graham likes big backs and he cannot lie.
Hey, come on.
Go ahead and what do you think in seeing on Ansu's tape?
Ansu is the very aspect of mine. The size is, I gave that frame a 4, 6'1", 210, and 210 as a true freshman as a road is ridiculous. You can easily play early with already being physically developed and physically prepared. Gave that 4. Physicality, I think physicality is the name of his game. Looking at that rating right now, and I need to change that. But gave physicality a 4 as well. I think that's the name of his game. It's going to be goal line type things, short yardage type things until he can kind of get a little bit more explosive. I gave his flair a 2. I think, one thing that stands out in regards to flair into his game is his footwork, and I think his balance. But just not having any burst, obviously takes away. That's the flair of a player, is kind of having those kind of freakish athletic moments. Football IQ and instincts, I actually am given a 4. Given a 4 there. I do feel like if you don't have a version of burst and you're able to still hit explosives and you're able to still be kind of effective in the explosive game, that they're out there. And then footwork and flexibility. Footwork and flexibility. I'm trying to be nice, man. And you know what I mean? I'm trying to be nice. Footwork and flexibility. I think what his calling card is if he does end up playing at the P level, because it's not going to be any burst or any. I'm very curious the kind of role they carve out for him. I had in my notes like a small Najee Harris. So I'm just kind of curious how that kind of translates. A guy that's kind of not herky jerky, but kind of looks like they're running fast, but not moving fast, but has great vision, great tackles, lean on the defense. But I'm curious how he gets onto the field. But so I got that as a team 3.4.
Yep. Yeah, I ended up at a 17 with a 3 and a 4 average as well. I got there a little differently in my evaluation of Ansu. At 6'1", 210, I gave him a frame 4. That's really good. It's a little oversized, but certainly it's something some a body frame and body type that you can do some work with. Physicality, I gave him a 3 again, kind of to that again. And it's not just the physicality in terms of whether he can, for physicality for running back, it's the whole package. It's whether can they run somebody over? Could they run around somebody? Could they run through somebody? Or breakaway speed. The breakaway speed, that's not in Ansu's game. Flair was a 3. Definitely some vision and some good cutbacks, which I'll give him some credit for, and I will even say better vision than we saw demonstrated on the field from, say, freshman year Adam Muhammad. That Ansu did at least demonstrate the ability to wait for a hole to open rather than just, hey, you know what, I'm going to run up the backside of my offensive lineman. So we'll give him some credit there. So which fed into, I gave him a 4 for football IQ and instincts, is like that he does, see some of the angles and not necessarily can't outrun an angle, but knows where he needs to cut it back or see a pocket to gain a few extra yards, and feeding him flexibility. I ended up giving him a 3 there as well. So an overall 17 and a 3.4. Somebody that I think can be a contributor, but I think is going to be again, to your point, it will be interesting to see how they utilize him. I don't think that certainly I don't think the home run threat aspect of playing running back is going to be something that we would see from Ansu. But goal line situations, and somebody also that you could does catch the ball pretty decently out of the backfield, kind of passe, but this is somebody that if you ever decided to work a fullback more into college football,
Yep.
Ansu would be an intriguing option.
We see a lot. We see a lot of these running backs that don't have breakaway speed, like guys like Jordan Marshall, some of the guys that were Indiana this year. These were more so just the kind of chain movers, Jordan Davidson at Oregon. So when they got opportunities to outrun people, like, they didn't, but they still were effective.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving on to, well, he's listed as a tight end. And I think you're going to see him in line a little bit. And I'll go first on Sam Violet, a 6'4", 225-pound tight end out of also out of Lake Oswego, Oregon, but out of Lake Oswego High School rather than Lake Ridge, down in Lake Oswego. A really intriguing player. I actually really liked Sam's tape a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of used him in high school in a number of spots, including kind of as a wildcat quarterback running the ball. Again, I think this is a player that you're going to see move around the formation quite a bit. I don't necessarily see a bunch of Sam's future as a strict inline tight end. I don't think that's going to necessarily best utilize his skill set. Where I do see, I could kind of see, different player, but honestly, kind of the closest that we've seen to a Hunter Bryant in terms of the big receiver aspect of Hunter, basically like a flex out, just big wide receiver style tight end. I think you could see him in line a little bit, but like in a 2 tight end set where he's the, if Ryan, using his classmate, like if Rhino's going to stay in and block, Sam's going to run a route off his hip and probably make some hay with that route, so for frame, again, 6'4", 225, that's, to me, it's a little like, it's tall enough as a tight end, but it's a little undersized in terms of he's not a Cade Otton or a Quentin Moore or, insert any number of different Husky tight ends that were, just 30 pounds heavier and 3 inches taller. But so frame was a 3 for me. Physicality of 4, again, getting into some of the foot speed and agility that he demonstrates in the tape, including, they used him as a wildcat quarterback, showed some cutbacks and some agility to make people miss in space. Again, why I see him more as kind of a big receiver rather than a true tight end. Flair, again, kind of a 4. Again, some of that visibility and the movement, agility and vision and the movement skills. To make some plays, football IQ and instincts feeding into that, a 4.5, and the feet and flexibility, again, a 4. For me, a 19.5 overall for an over average rating of 3.9. But your thoughts on Sam?
Yeah, man. What's really cool is I was like, I was going down to try to see who he reminds me of, and like, it's hilarious that you compared him to like other Huskies, because I could find little bits of pieces of like all of our good, more recent tight ends in him. So I wrote down like I wrote down like Husky tight end, which is like super vague, but like Husky tight end. I think physical comparison, I have written down AJ Barner, which obviously familiar with. Highly balanced, a dog. I think a guy that's gonna be a dog in the run game, but their real strength is their pass game. You know what I mean? Their real strength is their knack for getting open as a receiver, utilizing their quickness against, kind of linebackers and their size against safeties. I think he's definitely a mismatch nightmare. And one thing that, I think we're really going to lean into this year, I think we're going to lean a little bit more into using our tight ends, just with obviously like how, Jeff Fish admires what the 49ers do and what the Rams do. And that both of those teams had success this year, utilizing a lot more tight end sets. Really how it incorporates, a guy like Sam. But so I got your frame 25. I got frame 4. That's a pre-frame. Obviously, you can have some more weight on you, but for the versatility we're having to do, that's perfect size. Physicality of 4. A big didn't see too much of like getting down in dirt, but a big receiver, and has that versatility too. Obviously, learn the run block game, and be good. There again, I wouldn't say the thing that I saw that was like super freaky. I think if anything, he's just very ultra balanced. Like just a super row tight end. Flair 3, football instincts, I gave a 3 as well. I think he'll have to develop into a role. I think right now he's kind of asked, like you said, to do big receiver things, and he's going to have to transition into a complete guy, kind of how like Decker's transition. Just some part of that process. Football IQ instincts 3, and then feet flexibility 4. Obviously you're big, and you're talking about being a big slot, so that's wildly unique. So I gave Sam is one of the best players I have in this class. At 21 with a 4.2 overall. I think tight ends can kind of be difficult to rate. You can have a no-star guy be very good at the college level at tight end. It's about a lot of things that aren't really like quantifiable. So, I got him at 21 4.2.
All right, moving on to the last. Well,
3-6.
Probably the last, unless we run some tackle or offensive lineman eligible. The last guy that'll be catching passes in this class, and that is a 6'2", 190-pound wide receiver from Frankfort, Illinois, from Lincoln Way East High School in Frankfort, Illinois, and that is Blaze LaVista. Your thoughts on Blaze?
I think if you're talking about admiring a 49er offense and admiring a Rams offense, I think this is or those offensive schemes, I think this is the perfect receiver for it. Blaze is going to be a fan favorite if he ever gets an opportunity to touch the field. There's nothing Blaze doesn't have. He probably is like this, but he doesn't seem like on the player on the foot. He rarely gets caught. You know what I mean? Seems very, very much so fast. Get open, stay open. And if he can have extra gear, there's nothing that's going to stop him from being a highly productive receiver at the P4 level. So, he has everything you ask for in a receiver. We're balanced. So 6'2", 190. I got that as a 4 frame. 6'2", 190. Got that as a 4 frame. Physicality. Gee Louise. This is where we're talking about where I was dooging at. This is definitely my favorite, and it kind of reaps through it through these ratings here. But I have a 4 for frame. I got 4 for physicality. I got a 3 for flair. Just kind of gets the job done. Doesn't need to do it sexy, but he's going to produce and get the job done at a high level. Football IQ and instincts. And feet and flexibility are the 2 places where I feel like are going to be what separate him at the next level. Him having the savvy already to kind of get open in our system. Him being able to be versatile enough to play every receiver position in our system is going to benefit him. And having the potential to be a 6'2" slot as well. Versatility and feet and flexibility, I think, where he's going to make his big bucks. He kind of reminds me of Alan Polk in that regard, where it seems like he's like his way on field, and with his ability to catch and his ability to get open. So, one of my favorite players in the he ends up like he's a fan favorite based on the skill set that I see. I got 19 with a total grade of 3.8.
Yeah, I certainly think kind of an at least a very as a 4th receiver in the class.
Sheesh.
That's pretty damn good.
Damn good. Yeah.
Pretty damn good. At 6'2", 190, gave his frame a 3.5. Physicality, again, his ability to go, high point to football, make some contested catches or in coverage, and with enough speed to run away from some of his competition. I don't know how that will translate at the next level, but I didn't see him get caught from behind very often, and that's at least a very promising sign. Flair, I gave him a 3.5. Some high points, some good, demonstration of some really good body control. A good playmaker in that respect. Football IQ and instincts, to your point, was a 4, very solid for Blaze, in my opinion. And then a 3.5 for feet and flexibility, a lot to build on, and certainly somebody that with that position versatility that you talked about, very easily could see him as a contributor and making some key plays, particularly kind of in utilized right, can be a very productive asset to an offense. So overall for me, Blaze, an 18.5 for an average of 3.7. which is in that.
We're really like close on a lot of these,
plus.
bro.
Yep. All right, moving on to the last one that we'll talk about substantively, with no offense to CJ. We don't have the expertise insight to do in-depth evaluation, and frame does not. Well, when we get to CJ, frame does not matter for a kicker as long as you can get the ball over the line that's blocking for you. You could be 6'7" and get it through the uprights. You could be 5'4" and get it through the uprights. We don't care. You could be 140 pounds.
We don't care.
You could be 235 pounds. We don't care in terms of frame on kickers. But this is a gentleman that is very much not under 6 feet tall and very much not under 200 pounds that we'll talk about. And that is interior offensive lineman Adiong Yang from Puyallup High School. Shout out to Coach DJ Mims down there at Puyallup. Again, 6'3", 343 pounds, 3-star offensive lineman, definitely destined for the interior. I'll go first. For an interior offensive lineman, to me, that's kind of what I like to see. I like to see just big, wide, no pause, just I don't want a skinny beanpole offensive guard. God damn it.
Either, bro.
So frame of 4, physicality of 4, definitely goes seeking pancakes, which is certainly something you like from an interior offensive lineman. Flair gave a 3. Football IQ and instincts. I think the instinct and the want to get to the second level and the want to demonstrates, that he wants to stay with his blocks, make sure that he's gotten his job done, and finish his blocks. So I gave him a 4 on football instincts and football IQ and instincts, and a 3 on feet and flexibility, because that's certainly an area of flexibility. Could tend to gain another one that a little bend at the waist, and for being as big as he is, I was actually kind of surprised that I think there is some development and some strength that he could build in his lower half as kind of an area of work for him as he gets into a college strength and conditioning program. So
that
overall,
is crazy.
A total of 18 for a 3.6 average rating for me for Adiong.
That's crazy that you did that, because I'm initially thinking a 5 for frame, just physical size. That's a Big Ten kid. And I thought the same thing. That lower frame just seemed a little bit light. Well, not light, but just wouldn't say proportionate. But I was junior year, in my opinion. Once the coach DJ over there at Puyallup, I feel like he took one of the bigger jumps from junior year to senior year with with the technique of the game, and then just with his overall athleticism. So I'll give the frame a 4. I do think the lower half can be worked on, but kind of senior year, he had kind of almost no legs, and he was kind of all upper body. Seeing him kind of be lean pads, and so you see he worked on his body really, really well. So he's a guy that seems like he could easily be molded into whatever he needs to be, and his body responds to it pretty quickly. So I gave his frame a 4, physicality a 4 as well. Flair gave a 3. Obviously, once again, didn't see anything freakish, but for his size, man, I think once again, I'm giving a lot of credit to this senior year. I feel like he looked a lot different. He looked damn near like he was going to excel at this level more so than being a cusp P4 prospect, which a lot of people felt coming in senior year. Football IQ stinks. Once again, seeing that development in the that he's locked in, seeing him from the school he was at previous to going to play strictly to lock in on the football process says a lot to me. So I gave that a 4. And then footwork and flexibility, at 340 plus pounds, obviously that's not going to be, your strong suit. Once again, moving into the senior year, I do see a little bit more fire feet. I do see a lot more quickness, a lot more lateral agility. He is, once again, like you said, a lot more sticky. His guy does have to start working to get to that second level, but I definitely see some footwork to be able to kind of get all that weight up to the next level and quick. So I got that a total of 18 out of 3.6. But also, I would say that he is one of the prospects, kind of like Blaze, in my opinion, that is like feels like one of those long career kind of kids. Kids that kind of have the frame, have the work ethic, and they just kind of like some of the physical elements kind of tapped in. So he's I would say to watch out for, being like one of the kind of hometown fun kids on a good offensive line.
Yep. All right. Briefly, like I said, we're not going to do a full breakdown on CJ Wallace because frame is irrelevant. Flair, unless you can manage to the only way I'd give a 5 for Flair for a kicker is if basically on every kickoff he was the one that basically made the tackle and decleated the the kick returner, or
trick shots,
or yeah, like double doinks but still go through the uprights, or boomerangs a kick, it goes through once, circles around and goes through again for 6-point field goal.
Halftime.
Certainly think, but in the short highlights that I saw from CJ, certainly good hang times on the kickoffs, balls going through the end zone. Music to Husky fans' ears when we continue to occasionally have some struggles in kickoff coverage. Kick it into the end zone, we'll be happy. Kick it through the uprights, we'll be ecstatic. But overall, I did have basically a 17 and a 3.4 average for CJ. But again, this is kicker film. This is no disrespect to kickers; they're important. But the way we would evaluate
tough to grade.
Basically, it's tough to grade. We're not going to. We can't break it down like every other position on the field.
I got 19 with a 3.8. Say I gave football IQ and instincts a 5. I tried to be a little smartest guy in the room there. All because he went to Bosco, and I think it was a 2-3 year starter at Bosco. So you have some high pressure moments, some high pressure situations. So that's about it, CJ. But much love. You're not going to be counted on this year. We went out and got some really, really good guys to do that stuff.
All right. Well, that is it for us on the offensive side of the class. We will be back next week, ideally, but potentially in a few weeks, to cover the defensive side of this class. Thanks so much for listening. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.